as helicopters hovered over Brentwood to see how O.J. Simpson celebrated on the first weekend since his acquittal in October of 1995. Norm MacDonald took his seat at the Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update desk and delivered his opening line with a half smirk. Well, it's a finally official, he said. Murder is legal in the state of California. For McDonald, the former football star, accused of killing his ex-wife and a friend, was more than a one-off joke. During his 1990s run as SNL's fake anchorman, the comedian honed in on Simpson in his relentless pursuit of the perfect punchline, one that likely cost him his dream gig. He said he would stay in that job forever, says Lori Joe blah blah McDonald's longtime producing partner and closest friend until his death in 2021. But as much he would have loved to, he wasn't willing to negotiate what he thought was funny. Even when the topic was as macabre and polarizing as that of the former American Golden Boy implicated in the grisliest of crimes. Everybody was insane to do jokes about him, says one head writer at SNL during McDonald's Weekend Update reign. But Norm, he just couldn't let it go, especially as the trial started. October 15th, 1994, according to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, I'll kill you. That guy who is bringing you your glasses or a treat. McDonald's role model was SNL's first true star, of course, Chevy Chase, who first occupied the fake anchorman seat. But still, it was a surprise when McDonald was tapped to take it over after Kevin Nealon in 1994. One of the comedy writers who oversaw the Weekend Update at the time recalls that they were pushing for Bill Maher for the role, while someone else, then president of MSNBC Entertainment, favored longtime writer Al Franken, an SNL legend who joined the show the same week that Bill Murray did back in 1976. But he pushed for McDonald and got his way. Norm was dry and deadpan, and more than anyone who's ever done Update. He looked and sounded like an actual newsman. And that's the way the jokes were written, to sound more like news stories than jokes. We never got angry or screamed or, wake up, you people, or all that other stuff. The man is a murderer. We would just comment on what happened in court. Was O.J. Simpson high on drugs the night of the murders? Absolutely not. A simple test of any of his blood found on the crime scene will prove it. From the start, there were more than hints that a Simpson fixation could prove a problem for the Update crew. One NBC executive who oversaw SNL and creator Lorne Michaels was a longtime pal and golf buddy of the actual football star. He remembers an SNL meeting when they had to leave early. He needed to get to Los Angeles County Jail during visiting hours to see his friend, the friend that Norm was doing the jokes every weekend about. January 14th, 1995, O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. As Simpson jokes piled up, they never spoke to the executives directly about it, but Lorne Michaels was absorbing the boss's furor at NBC. I always felt kind of bad. In order to protect us and also his independence, of the show, he had to fight for something that he really didn't personally believe in as much as other things. He certainly liked some of the updates, but OJ jokes were never his favorite thing because it was, after all, a murder. The update writing crew was aware that McDonald's OJ obsession was causing friction at executive levels, but they gave him the license to keep writing the jokes. Remember, now Norm is writing the jokes. Now, a lot of times, what happens is people think, well, a lot of, so you watch a Johnny Carson, you watch a Stephen Colbert, you watch a Jay Leno. I don't know. I think Jay Leno wrote most of his jokes. But you watch all these people, as Jimmy Kimmel and Seth Meyers. None of those guys write their own jokes. None of them write their own jokes. No, they have a bunch of joke writers for them. Bunch of untalented comedians having other people write their jokes, and all they got to do is just memorize them and stare at a camera and make sure that you, as the audience, laughs while the audience there has a sign that says applause and laughter for canned laughter. Absolutely ridiculous. So, Norm never really cared about the ramifications. Or he didn't care also what the audience thought. He often seemed to relish when a joke got a tepid or kind of silencing remark from the audience, splitting up the audience. Oh, guess what? Oh, it looks like the audience applauded because to me, it's like it's a cheap kind of high. It says McDonald. But that sensibility may have undermined him with the NBC higher-ups. Weekend Update was never a big party during his tenure, he acknowledged, so I think the network started going, it doesn't seem like as much as fun as it should be. It all collapsed midway through 1997, 1998, when the executives decided that Norm Macdonald had to go. And you know what? Macdonald decided to decline to stay, as opposed to make peace with the team. December 13th, 1997, after a Los Angeles restaurant refused to seat him, O.J. Simpson demanded and got $500 in compensation. In addition, the restaurant must now offer separate murder and non-murder sections. But his connection to Simpson endured. In the late 90s, McDonald's crossed paths with the acquitted star while golfing. They kept a distance, particularly for the sake of the third party member of their party, none other than Kato Kalin, the shaggy-haired prosecution witness who had stayed at Simpson's guest house on the night of the murders and was launched into particular fame in the trial. In 2011, when McDonald was hosting a sports show on Comedy Central, he tried to convince Simpson to sit for an interview with him. There was one stipulation that perhaps could only have come from the mind of a comedian as darkly ironic as McDonald. The lone subject off limits would be what? That's right. It would be the murder. The murderers. For a reason still unclear, the interview never happened. Yeah, shock. And then in 2019, McDonald made an appearance on David Spade's short-lived Comedy Central talk show. There he listened to another former Weekend Update host, Dennis Miller, praised his fearless and mocking Simpson in the face of executive annoyance. With a straight face, McDonald delivered what may have been his final OJ joke. He said he had changed his mind about Simpson. He was found not guilty by a jury of his peers, McDonald said. He noted that Simpson was the greatest rusher in the history of the NFL. And while pausing, he said, maybe I was the greatest rusher to judgment. Was it a joke? If so, not everyone got it. Uh, Shortly thereafter, McDonald got a text thanking him for his gentler commentary about the disgraced football star and inviting him to golfing sometime. That text was from O.J. Simpson. One of the things that people often ask is, Sam, what were one of the moments that made you come out of retirement? And I say often, it's probably when I saw this instance. O.J. Simpson, who was, at the time, one of the premier sideline reporters for NBC. And then the next thing you know, I believe it was on a Friday evening, if I recall, I'm watching this white Bronco on the 405. I'm watching helicopters follow it around. And they're telling me that OJ is in the back of the Ford Bronco with a gun, saying he's going to kill himself because he's innocent. This is not him. And then the subsequent trial of O.J. Simpson. You remember what it is. Marsha Clark. Robert Kardashian. The only damn reason why we have the Kardashians all up in our grill now to this day, because of this damn trial. Alan Dershowitz. Robert Shapiro. And, of course, the late Johnny Cochran. During the trial, when OJ was asked to put the glove on, there was a struggle. The glove at the witness scene and at the scene could not fit on OJ's hand. And as he struggled to try to put the glove on his hand in the middle of the trial, Johnny Cochran goes and looks at Judge Ito. Judge Ito, the judge at the time, and he says to him the famous line that we all remember to this day, that if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. O.J. Simpson, the star running back in the NFL, playing for several teams, most notably the Buffalo Bills, passed away. And during his life, and what many feel, got away with murder. But I always say that if you have to ask too soon when someone says a joke, then you know what that means. That means that the joke was right on time. Broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond, you're listening to 90.1 FM. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam NewsMan. And this is Saturday morning.
You don't get worse luck than that. In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of